My name is Paula Findley, and I live in Whitehall, Arkansas, and I have been an educator for 35 years. I've been a teacher, an administrator, and most of all, I've done professional development for several years at our education co-op in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And one of the greatest things that I ever found as a teacher to use with my classroom was this gradual release of responsibility. And I have a little joke that I tell when I talk about this because I think it's so true sometimes of us as teachers. And there was this little girl, and she told this little boy that she had taught her dog how to whistle. And he said, "Well, I don't hear him whistling." And she said, "I didn't say he learned it. I just said I taught him." And so as teachers, we need to be aware of what our students are learning rather than what we're teaching them. And so when we look at this gradual release of responsibility model, we start out with the teacher doing most of the work. And of course, as teachers, we don't want to do the work all the time. So we want to turn that work over to our students and have them take more responsibility. As a teacher, we start out with our whole group. And during whole group, we have very explicit instruction. We may do a demonstration, we may do a think aloud, but that's what we do in our whole group. And this is where the teacher is doing I do and you watch. The students are watching the teacher. And then we gradually turn that responsibility more over to the students. And so we start doing things together. Maybe the teachers and the students are working together on learning a certain skill. And then we go to collaboration, small group, guided practice. We work in pairs. And this is where the students do things together, you do it together, and I watch as a teacher. So I'm watching as the students are working on projects, or I'm watching as students come to me for small group instruction. And then finally, we can turn the responsibility more over to the students. And they can go to literacy centers, they may be doing independent practice, they may be working on a presentation. And then finally, they can apply whatever skill that we're learning to their reading or writing. And this is where the students will be doing this alone. And so I'm going to give you an example of something I learned to do. And I learned to ride a bike. And the reason I learned to ride a bike is because I saw the other students or the other kids in the neighborhood riding their bikes, and I wanted to ride a bike. And so I was watching, and this is what students are doing. So when they're watching you and you're doing a read aloud or you're doing shared reading, you need to make it exciting so that they want to do that as well. And then I watched the kids in the neighborhood, and then finally I decided, well, I think I may try it. And so actually it was me and my dad, we got together, and he put training wheels on a bicycle for me. And so I would try to ride my bike, and when I learned to ride with training wheels, then he took them off, and then I was able to ride independently. But do you think the first time I took off, I was able to do it all by myself? No, I fell down several times, scratched my knees, got back up on the bike, and tried again. So this is not a linear process. This is actually something where, as teachers, we need to be watching the students as they're learning whatever concept we're trying to teach, and go back and see, maybe we need to do a little more small group work with them while we're there at the table and can help them. Maybe they need to read more in pairs. Into Reading has assessments that go along the way so that you can see if your students are truly learning what it is that you're teaching. And so now I would like for you to turn and talk to a neighbor and think about the gradual release of responsibility and tell them something you learned to do. Maybe you learned to sew or drive a car, or you learned to cook or decorate a cake, but just think of something that you've learned to do and how you learned to do it. Did you observe someone and then do things together, and then finally you were able to do it independently? So turn and talk, and I'll give you about 15 minutes to do that, and I'll set a timer so that we can come back together. After I would do this with the teachers, then I would have them do a scavenger hunt, and I would have them take the Into Reading materials and go through Readers and Writers Workshop. And during the scavenger hunt, I would have them write down the different things that Into Reading provides. There are so many resources that Into Reading provides, and they could write down what you should do during whole group, what you would do during collaboration, what students could do independently. And so I would have them do the scavenger hunt for maybe 20 minutes, and then after that I would have the teachers write a reflection. And one of the reasons I really like to write a reflection is because research shows that when we write a reflection, it helps students as well as teachers retain and connect to what it is they're learning. And also it helps them to relate sometimes to something they already know. So, and this leads to greater comprehension. So in the reflection, I would have the teachers write down their aha moments, questions they might still have, and also affirmations, because maybe some of the teachers are already doing some of the gradual release of responsibility. And I hope that you can see that I have tried to model the gradual release of responsibility as I have been teaching it to the teachers. And thank you.